Gillette, be a baseball reporter for a day or something like that. You said you finished in second on that?
You know what, man? What an absolute awesome trip. I've never been so stressed out and so relieved for something to be over. But, it started out with MLB and Gillette were sponsoring to be, Major League Baseball reporter for a day to cover the World Series. And I had an opportunity to go to Houston. I was one of the top 4 guys out of about 10,000 applicants that were sent in to participate as one of the Houston finalists. I ended up winning Houston, and then I went to Nationals, one of the 12 guys that ended up finishing in the top 12 out of a lot of different people that submitted, their submissions to be part of this. And, a gentleman out of Chicago ended up winning it, and I'll tell you what, though, the fantasy sports world and the friends from Facebook and MySpace really put together a lot of good things. And, unfortunate for me, I didn't end up winning, but I'll tell you what, man, it opened up some doors for me. I've actually had some contacts, throughout the sports industry. And you know what? It was an absolute great opportunity for me, and hopefully it'll lead to something even bigger and better, my friend.
Yeah, hopefully it will. I know it was funny because I had seen that come across the board, and I thought about maybe doing something, but you know what? I didn't, and you did, and you had the chance, and you got right there just to the end, and just fell a little bit short. But, it's too bad because, but like you said, you got to experience something that a lot of us won't have the chance, and, I wish you the best luck, whatever that takes you, and I'm glad it was a positive experience for you. So, good to hear. Now, you got a chance to spend some time in the warm, sunny portions of the western part of the United States, and get to go to the Arizona Fall League. Now, we have a guy on the show who does come on in from time to time. He might even be here tonight. His name's Dallas. Dallas will be headed out to Arizona Fall League here in a week or two, but I have not had the chance to get out there yet, and I hear if you're a baseball fan, and especially if you're looking at prospects and minor leaguers and stuff like that, it's definitely kind of one of those things that you need to get out to. But you had the chance to go out and talk to some players, and I'm interested to get some of your thoughts of what you saw. And then I know you have some audio of some players which we may have a chance to play on here at a later date, but just give me the impression at first of what you saw out there and what really jumped out to you as maybe some of your surprises going to the Arizona Fall League.
Well, I'll tell you what, pal. It being my first time seeing a lot of these prospects, I'll tell you what, man. I was in awe of a lot of these guys. Like you said, I had the opportunity to go out there, cover the Arizona Fall League. I flew in on Thursday, went straight to the ball field, and ended up covering 5 games in 3 days. And you know what? What unbelievable experience. When I go into the locker rooms, Tim, it's a different atmosphere with dealing with professionals because, not to be kind of open, a lot of them are very snooty. They look at the media in a different light, probably a lot of these amateur and prospects, MLB prospects. And when I go into the field, I show up a couple hours early, man, and the guys are joking with me. We're having a good time. Every single person was open to the interviews. I didn't have one guy turn me away. And I got some of the biggest prospects to talk to me that were at the Arizona Fall League. Everyone from Matt Wieters to Austin Jackson to Drew Sutton. I mean, it was just an unbelievable experience. And I'll tell you what, the one thing that I did learn, I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of scouts that were there. I mean, a lot. And when you take a look, the number one thing that I saw that was an absolute deficiency in a lot of these prospects was defense. I have not seen as many errors by what possibly could be over these next few years, major leaguers, and the number of errors probably amount to what a Little League game has. It was unbelievable. In one game that we saw on Friday night, and this is no lie, my friend, 4 dropped infield fly balls by both teams. I mean, it was unbelievable. Throwing errors, balls between the legs. It was not what I expected from what I thought were guys that were on the verge of making the major leagues. But I will definitely tell you that some of these guys were ginormous. I mean, I ended up naming Logan Morrison, who's going to possibly be a first baseman for the Florida Marlins here in a year or two. I ended up calling him the Green Mile. This guy shut out the sun. He was gigantic. It was unbelievable.
Well, that's an interesting point that you make about defense, because one of these things that seems now baseball has become an offensive game. You know, people like the home run. There's a lot of people. We've talked about it many times, and this isn't a major league or minor league thing. This is just the way of the game. I mean, you can even see this. You can see this trend a little bit down to high school, unless there's good coaching. But you know, everybody lives for the 3-run homer, or the 2-run homer. And do you think that that's why you're seeing a lot? Because everybody's more worried about offensive numbers than defense?
You know what? You make a great point, and like you mentioned earlier, I'm going to absolutely share all the audio that I have with you so your listeners can listen. And just to give you a point, I talked with Jack Voigt, who's Daniel Murphy's coach, is a AAA hitting coach for the New York Mets. And the thing I asked him about Daniel Murphy was, here's a guy that has a great stick, did very well for the New York Mets when he got called up. And here at the Arizona Fall League, he's playing second base. But when he goes to Puerto Rico in a couple weeks, he's going to be playing left field. And I asked Jack Voigt if the reason why the Mets were trying him out in so many different positions was because defensively he's a liability, and if the Mets were trying to hide him. And he told me, you know, absolutely not. And I think he was just giving me a line. But when I was looking at him, you know, he kind of rolled his eyes. But, you know, you take a look at the way Major League Baseball is. Since, you know, the steroid era, we can quote-unquote, I don't want to say it's come to a close, but it has shrunk. We saw the numbers go down this year. And I think that, you know, the clubs noticed that. I think the clubs noticed that, you know, offense is the way to go. And, you know, when we take a look at a lot of these guys, this is a hitter's league. You know, a lot of scouts I talk to, what you're seeing is you're not seeing a lot of teams send their best pitching prospects to the Arizona Fall League, because I'll tell you what, guys were getting crushed. Go to MLBfallball.com and take a look at some of the scores, Tim. They are outrageous. The morning game that I saw on Saturday, the night game, which was the Pat Tillman Foundation, I was at that game. By the end of the first inning, between that game and the other game that was going on, there was 15 runs scored in the first inning. So this is an absolute hitter's league, the Arizona Fall League, and you're going to see, especially over the years, a lot of teams are not going to send their top pitching prospects to the Arizona Fall League, and you're also going to see guys that are eligible for Rule 5 draft not there, as well as teams try to protect their players before sending them to the Arizona Fall League.
Well, and that's a good point, because you've got you've heard about inflated numbers in the Cactus League and spring training, anyways, and you've got guys who come out of the Cactus League, you know, looking like they're the next, you know, Mickey Mantle or whatever, and then they go and actually play regular games and regular pitching and regular weather, and now they look like they should be playing in A-ball, let alone the major league. So I think you're right. There may be a lot of that where it comes to Arizona in general, and I've always kind of found the Arizona Fall League interesting, because, you know, you read it, and we've been covering it for the last few weeks here on the show, and we read a bunch of statistics about the Arizona Fall League, and basically, if you go to the Arizona Fall League, you're going to make a major league roster. I think it's like 80 to 90% of the guys that go to the Arizona Fall League at least get a cup of coffee in the majors. So you know, if you're going there, that at least you're getting looked at to make a move one way or another. But you just kind of wonder what, like you said, what the purpose is of it. Is it just to showcase offense and let's send our young pitchers there, or is it to really work on stuff? Because it is interesting, because I don't think the way it's set up, you want to, you know, lay all your cards out on the table, because you're intertwining organizations. You got 4 or 5 different teams that come together and make one team with a mixed coaching staff. So you're not going to, you know, you like you said, the Mets aren't going to give away their coaching philosophy to the minors to a couple kids who may be from another organization. So it's just an interesting setup to even start out with.
Yeah, you know what, you make a great point, and you know, when we sat there and I had an opportunity to sit down with about 3 or 4 different scouts, you know, that does come up as far as, you know, if I'm a coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates and, you know, I'm working with a guy from Colorado, do I want to really give him all that advice? And the one thing that 2 or 3 scouts had told me was, listen, you know, the whole objective here is, you know, to work with the kids. And what I did observe, especially during batting practice and fielding practice, was the team coaches work with their team players. So that was kind of interesting. You know, like, for instance, at second base, when Daniel Murphy was working at second base, you know, Jack Voigt was the guy that was hitting him the ball. You know, and certain other players that, you know, were their coaches, but not every, you know, team seemed to have a coach there. So you could say that in a way, but, you know, from what I observed, you know, the guys were pretty close. You know, there didn't seem to be like a lot of rivalry. A lot of